Everybody, welcome to Sports Talk's first live broadcast for, not for anything, but for a recap of this week in sports. I'm going to kick it off with one of the big names out there from this week. The Eagles made a lot of moves. They got rid of a lot of bad contracts. They brought in some new players. Um, they started out, they re-signed Sam Bradford, was huge for them. Brought in a guard, Brandon Brooks from Houston. Armani can touch on him coming into town a little bit, what kind of player he is, what kind of impact he might have for another team. Brought in Rodney McLeod. Uh, Basically know him for laying out Emmanuel Sanders last year. One of the hardest, cleanest hits I've seen. Leotis McKelvin comes in. He's reunited with Jim Schwartz again. Ron Brooks, another guy from Jim Schwartz tenure there in Buffalo. Chase Daniel comes over to be the number two, but he's being paid like a 1.5. Um,
Ridiculous.
I think Doug Peterson's in love with him. He sees himself in him a lot. So kind of feels for the guy. We'll see if he plays at all. Bradford's good for getting hurt every year. Can definitely find his way into the lineup this year. They lose Cedric Thompson to Dallas. Not really a big loss. Nigel Bradford comes in from Buffalo as well. So there are a lot of Buffalo players coming in for the Philadelphia Eagles. The biggest moves they made, though, Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso traded down to Miami. I'm a Miami fan. I don't know how I feel about it. He'll be in a different scheme. Maxwell, we'll see if that makes a difference. Not sure. In the process, they moved from 13 to 8 in the draft. And they also shipped DeMarco Murray down to Tennessee. They just move up to the second pick in the fourth round. Also, Kurt Smith told me I absolutely need to let you guys know that the Eagles will win the Super Bowl. All right, after that, I'm shooting over to Armani. We have Armani in here to talk about the Texans a little bit. What do you got for us, Armani?
Yeah, Texans made some pretty nice moves this free agency time, signing Brock Osweiler and Lamar Miller, and two linemen that we really do need. Brock Osweiler is hopefully going to be a savior at quarterback for us, which you said it about like Matt Schaub and Hoyer and Mallett. It's just really the same old story every single time, but we're hoping now here it's going to be different. And Lamar Miller is an underused running back, in my opinion. I think he's going to have a really big year this year. He might be a good fantasy pickup.
All right, definitely agree with that. I think Miller can have a huge year down there, actually getting the ball somewhere.
Yeah, my
That'll
Texans
definitely
do run the ball a lot.
definitely be huge. And Osweiler, I think he's overpaid. What do you think,
Oh
Armani?
yeah, I even agree with that.
Definitely overpaid, but you need a solution. Hoyer in the playoffs last year was
I think his
terrible to
yeah, and I
watch.
think his big arm's going to help us in J-Land, Green Bay next year. Hopefully, it's going to be in the cold.
All right, I also got a write up from Jeff Grace. We asked him how to pronounce his name a while ago, and I remembered. I was going with Garachi, and that was totally wrong. Um, Wrote up a report for the Bills. Keep in mind, Jeff wrote this. I didn't write this. So this optimism that you're going to see for the Bills is his. And yes, he was successful. We're spending a lot more time talking about the Buffalo Bills than we ever would if Jeff wasn't here. So hats off to Jeff. He starts it off with the Bills news is that there is no news. Yet they still received the highest grade in the AFC East from NFL Network regarding offseason moves with an A minus. Um, they re-signed Richie Incognito, which is pretty huge. They let Mario Williams walk, who wasn't going to work out in Buffalo. He wasn't feeling the system there. Future looks bright in Buffalo, according to Jeff. They're going to focus on the linebacking position, the weak spot on the defense. Um, Hopefully Kiko Alonso plays in Miami like he did in Buffalo that first year. They're looking for a wide receiver to complement Sammy Watkins, which is much needed. Hogan walked away. He's in New England with every other white receiver under the sun. Some things to look out for in the upcoming week. Do they make a play for Jari Evans, the Buffalo Bills? They're interested. They could definitely use some help on the right side of the line. Um, Tyrod Taylor rolling right is a good look. They can help out with that. They look at Antonio Cromartie. It's not the same player that he used to be, but he does know Rex's defense from his time in New York. Skimming through, he wants them to make a play at Eric Weddle. I think everybody would appreciate their team making a play at Eric Weddle.
Yeah, he's going to be
And
coached by one of the legendary safeties, Ed Reed.
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely, that would be a great tandem there, Armani. That's a great point. Um, just the knowledge on the back end of that defense,
Oh yeah.
and that's
I think it
about
would
it for the.
provide. I think it would provide Buffalo with a much needed leader,
Oh yeah.
an
That's true.
on-field leader. They
That's
don't
true.
really have that. They really don't have that rallying um, go-to guy. It seems every team kind of has that one guy, either on offense or defense. If you're lucky, both.
Yeah.
Uh, that you
Like
can
Ray
kind of
Lewis would.
rally on field, kind of get the troops motivated. Buffalo, I think, is missing that killer instinct right now, and I think
They
if
look
they
like
were to make a move for Weddle, who already has a lot of experience, I think he could bring a lot of confidence into the locker room.
No, I think you're absolutely right. They wanted Mario Williams to be that guy last year, and he
oh
didn't
he
get
didn't.
along with Rex. He took all those plays off, complained about the scheme, and he just wasn't the leader that they needed. I think
Yeah, I
I
you're
think
think
he
on
had like
something.
a career low 5 sacks too.
I actually saw a statistic that he graded out to be the worst pass rusher in the league last year.
Ooh.
good for him.
Um, there's a lot of scheme. There's a lot of other things that probably went into that, but being dead last isn't good in anything, especially when you get paid the way that he did.
Right?
I wonder who what pick does Bills have?
That's a great question. Let me see if I can find out real quick
Because if
for
they
Devontae
you
have like
guys.
Adams.
if they have like a 10 through 20, they can probably get that wide receiver to Notre Dame.
I think they have upper 15 pick.
Will Fuller, I think that's his name.
Yeah,
Looks like
he
a looks like a
I
stud.
went to the Temple Notre Dame game, and Fuller had a lot to do with them winning the game. Good player, good player.
Yeah,
Bills
he's
hold the number 19 pick, Armani.
Thanks.
I'm not
dud.
sure he'll be there then.
They could trade up maybe, but
All right, Gibbs, what do you have for the Packers?
All right. Well, a lot of exciting news coming out of Wisconsin. Um, Huge free agent signing one of the best players on the roster, actually, to a 4-year deal. That would be our kicker, Mason Crosby. Outside of Mason Crosby, we haven't really done too much. Ted Thompson, notoriously quiet in free agency, unless there is that value deal to be had. We didn't really have any of those value players hitting the market yet. We'll kind of see how the market shakes out after the draft. Sometimes those moves are to be made. I expect something to be done either in the draft or late free agency to beef up the defense. The offense is still solid. Defense is one key piece away. I want to say it's our inside linebacking core. We don't really have anybody there. We did try to remedy that. Looks like Ted Thompson is putting the chips on the table for Nick Perry. Signed him to a 1-year deal. I believe that was either yesterday or today. Signed him to a 1-year deal. Pretty quiet. He's not really a big name, but we drafted him a couple years ago. He's supposed to be the guy to work opposite Clay Matthews. Hasn't really fallen into that role yet, but a lot of upside for him. Another guy to keep track of going into next year. He's still under contract. We drafted him from Michigan, inside linebacker Jake Ryan. But otherwise, right now, nothing too big. Still have some of our big names are still on the market, still testing free agency. Notable names are B.J. Raji at inside lineman. You got Casey Hayward at cornerback. testing the market. I believe Mike Neal is still testing the market at a defensive end, outside linebacker position. And veteran wide receiver James Jones is going to be testing the market as well. I don't really see him. He's not going to be splashing any big deals. It's going to be hard for him to find a spot now that we have Jordy Nelson coming back. Jeff Janis definitely came into his own this year. We're going to get Ty Montgomery back off injury. We have a very, very promising young wide receiver core for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. You do like having that comfortability and reliability with James Jones, but I can see him being cut and maybe signed back at the end of the free agency period, maybe for like a veteran minimum. He thinks he's quoted as saying he's got 3 to 5 years left. He's 27, I want to say, or 28, maybe a little bit older. I'm confusing. Sorry, Andrew Corliss is 27. He's also one of our free agents. Sorry, I'm rambling. But, nothing too big. Just pretty quiet, usual Green Bay transactions. Signing the key guys we need. We let all of our big names know what they're worth to us. We'll let them test the market, see what the market dictates, whether we keep them or not.
Jay, correction. James Jones is 31 years old.
31. Sorry, yeah, I was thinking of Andrew Corliss. There's an NFL scout watching Corliss. In his notes, say, what is this guy 30? And he's actually only 27, but not looking good for Corliss on the scouting report. But yeah, 31 years old. He thinks he's still got 3 to 5 years left.
That's pretty old for a receiver.
It is. And like I say, he's only really thrived in Green Bay. He went out to Oakland, tried to get the first time he got his money to be the guy out there. Didn't really connect with Carr. I don't put a whole lot on him. That was a new system, new QB. Getting cut right away by the Giants ended up possibly kind of biting the Giants in the butt. We ended up getting him back for cheap last year. He filled in when Jordy went down. Was a really big kind of unsung part of why we ended up with a 10-win season with our arguably second best player on the team out for the year. So I'd like to see him stay. He's a solid player. He's a great guy in the community, but it's a business at the end of the day.
That's true.
Yeah, anytime you start talking about their impact in the community, usually that means you're ready to part ways. Want to get into some things that Rapicki had to say about the Dolphins. He has a member stream up. Definitely go check that out, guys. Pretty lengthy piece of writing there that he's got in there.
Yep.
Overall, he gives us a C so far in free agency and everything. The biggest loss for Miami, in my opinion, and Rapicki's opinion as well, Lamar Miller. It hurts us. He's underutilized. He could be a great runner in the league. He catches well. He blocks well. He's got good vision. He's a one-cut guy. And we're going to miss him, to say the least. He talks about Byron Maxwell, what kind of fit he is for our scheme, what kind of things he can do when he's not being forced to play man coverage, which he's terrible at. He'll be jamming receivers at the line here and then dropping back in the zone. That's what he did in Seattle. Hopefully with less talent around him, he can still be somewhere close to where he was in Seattle. Kiko Alonso comes in. He's being paid under $1 million. The story with him is simple. If he's healthy fully and he gets his speed back from that ACL injury, he should be a great player. Huge hole at linebacker for Miami, so hopefully the addition of him will make a big difference. C.J. Anderson signed to a he's not officially signed, but Denver has 5 days to match it, and it doesn't look like they will. So likely he'll be in Miami. He has a similar skill set, believe it or not, to what Miller had. He comes in a lot cheaper. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. Both average 4.8 yards per carry, something pretty ridiculous like that. Second half of the year in Denver, he really turned it on. No coincidence, they started run blocking a lot better at the second half of the year. We signed Issa Abdul Qudus from the Lions. Safety position, it's a big hole for us. We had Michael Thompson back there playing next to Rashad Jones, and we had um, Aiken, Walt Aiken back there, and they both look pretty foolish on some plays. They both have things they do well, but they're not well rounded enough to be every down starters in the league. Um, Another guy we missed out on that kind of stunk. Um, we haven't addressed the guard position yet. Um, Alex Boone was a huge target for me. I was really hoping we would pick him up. Played in San Francisco, was a great player for him. We did pick up Bushrod, Jerron Bushrod from Houston. Armani, if you have anything about Bushrod that you can tell us.
Nah.
I'm sorry, he came from Chicago. I'm sorry about
Yeah,
that.
I say he was a solid player up in Chicago. Yeah, watching him play twice a year at a minimum up in Green Bay here.
Yeah, don't
Uh,
we have Bears what's it called? Ambassador, right?
yeah, be Shane Geffey.
Yeah.
I believe he's actually done a couple write-ups about Bushrod. I know he definitely talked about landing their defensive stars, but
You
continue.
can get pretty picky to ask him about him and get like analysis.
Yeah, I'm sure he's definitely got some great insight on Bushrod. Tackle, probably kicking in the guard down in Miami. Hopefully a good fit. If I'm not mistaken, he started out at guard, so should be a good fit. Should plug a hole and be good for us. I like the addition of Mario Williams. Him coming in at 17 million for 2 years is much better than paying Olivier Vernon 17 million for a year. So I'll take Mario Williams over that contract that Vernon got up in New York.
Oh, you know, all those Wall Street types in New York. If you got it, flaunt it, man. Throw that checkbook around.
All right, so some of the biggest movers in speaking of the Giants, some of the biggest movers in free agency have been the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Oakland Raiders. What are some signings that surprised you guys? How do you think these will turn out for these guys?
Yeah, I'll let Armani go first.
Hmm. I mean, I would say DeMarco Murray with Mariota down there in Tennessee, but I think the biggest move out of them all is Sean Smith to Oakland, to adding that young defense with Mack and I don't know if they have Alden Smith. I think I don't even know where he's at. He's probably in jail.
I think Olin is still a free agent technically.
He's they own his rights. Whatever his suspension ends up being.
State doesn't.
Yeah, I think and I think the Raiders will win the AFC West this year.
I think the what's overlooked is the addition of Assembly
Yeah,
and a
Assembly.
guard.
That's actually what I was going to say as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot they signed him too.
Yeah, stealing Assembly from Baltimore
Ravens.
is enormous. That Raiders defense, expect them to turn a lot of heads this year.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I think that's going to be the key actually for their offense. Derek Carr is one of the most promising young quarterbacks in the league. Amari Cooper, one of the best promising young wide receivers in the league. Um,
Crabtree.
Murray, one of the best young running backs in the league. Giving them time to study, the game. That defense is going to be giving opposing offenses just a very hard time. It's going to give that Raiders offense a huge chance to flourish. I expect them as well to possibly and probably take the AFC West. I had them as a playoff team last year. They've only improved. It's another year for them to get better.
I think the addition of Sean Smith to go back there with Amerson is huge. Their secondary is they lose Charles Woodson. I mean, he was 112 years old, but he was
He was
balling out
raw
there.
too.
He led
Not
the
true.
league.
He turns 112 later.
Okay, yeah, okay. In December he turns 112. Okay. Um, but yeah, they're getting stronger on the back end, which is an area that came up and hurt them. If DJ Hayden would have came out and flourished for them like they anticipated him to, it would have been great for him. But the faster Khalil Mack is coming at the opposing quarterback, the less amount of time you have to stay in coverage. So that pass rush is going to help them out. Now the pass rush in New York, Olivier Vernon gets huge dollar signs going into New York, around 17 million a year. Buco bucks in guaranteed money. They also add Snacks, who I didn't know that was a nickname for anyone until this week. Giants fans going nuts that they signed Snacks Harrison. Looks like they really revitalized their defensive line. They got Pierre Paul back, and
That blew me
hoping they can
away.
finally rush the quarterback.
And they picked up Janoris Jenkins too on the outside to match up with DOC.
And he's a much better player than Amukamara.
Who
Amukamara
just
just
signed with Jacksonville, I think.
Yep. Mukamara could be really good if he could learn to stay healthy.
that's not something you can teach. But yeah, the Jags also making a pretty big splash in free agency, whether it be a true signing or Vernon rumors. I mean, they're doing a lot. They just brought in Chris Ivory, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spelling TJ Yeldon.
And so you're going to go from a more complete runner to a bowling ball, which is always a good change of pace to have.
Yeah.
And then you still got another top young quarterback in the league. Blake Bortles thrown to the Allens. You know,
Right,
Allen Hurns.
one of the
Hurns and
best receiving duos in the league, in my opinion.
Robinson.
Absolutely.
Another signing that didn't get huge news. Rashard Matthews goes down to Tennessee. Dolphins fans, I've been calling for Rashard Matthews to be starting for a long time. I know you guys in the comment section are getting tired of the Dolphins talk. Sorry. Rashard Matthews gives Marcus Mariota an outlet that he can throw to. He's a well-rounded player. Should be good down there. Mohamed Sanu down there in Atlanta, I think he'll thrive next to Julio Jones. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Keith Robert, I see you in the comments, man. I know you predicted Diaz, but so did I, and I won money on it, bud. Free agency moves. Who are you guys most excited to see play elsewhere? Who do you think is the biggest chance with a new team?
I'll let Jay go.
Oh, all right. Personally, what I'm most excited to see is Matt Forte with the Jets. Obviously, there was an early rumor about Mr. Forte coming to Green Bay. Sometimes that's just not meant to be. For the money, we aren't going to pay him when we have two starting running backs. But I have always been a Matt Forte fan. He's been one of my favorite non-Packers since he's been in the league. To see him go to the Jets, which is quickly becoming the home of the former Bears. Seeing him with Decker, seeing him with Marshall, a lot of upside for him. I think that he deserves to be somewhere and be a feature back. I understand that the Bears need to move forward with younger backs while they have them.
Yeah.
But huge fan of Matt Forte. Really hope he does well out in New York.
Definitely well-respected player around the league. Armani, besides Lamar Miller, who are you excited to watch play? If it's Lamar Miller, go ahead and spit it out. That's fine.
And Brock Lobster.
Or as we call him down here, the Brocket.
Oh, do you actually call him that?
Nah,
The
people
Houston
start
Brockets,
to.
man.
I bet you he hates that.
Maybe DeMarco Murray with Mariota down there in Tennessee. That's a big move for them since they really did need a run game after Chris Johnson was departed out of Tennessee.
All right, and what acquisition surprised you guys the most? What signing did you just not see coming?
Chris Ivory to Jacksonville.
The big one was watching Oakland steal Assembly from Baltimore.
How much are they paying him?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
No, it's probably a big contract since it's lineman.
I think it's a fairly substantial one.
I'll have to look it up right now.
Yeah, see what you can find, Armani. I was actually surprised by Chris Hogan to the Pats. I know anytime there's a white guy receiver, you just assume he's going to the Pats at some point in his career.
True.
Going to be.
I'm still waiting for Jordy Nelson to leave us.
I don't think Jordy Nelson's ever leaving you guys. I'm sure you're excited to have him back next year.
You better not.
He makes in your offense.
I have right here 5 year 58 million.
So yeah, a lot of money.
For,
And who do you talking about the money? Who do you guys think was the most overpaid this year?
That'd be Houston's quarterback Brock Osweiler.
I'm a Texans fan. I agree. Kind of
I
different.
mean, any third tier quarterback who's raking in $18 million a year, he's got to just be loving his life. And it's a business at the end of the day. Everybody's like, why wouldn't you stay? Why wouldn't why not? I'm getting $2 million more a year.
Hey, he's
Yeah, he
raking
was
in a lot more money than Bradford. I know Bradford can't stay healthy, but he's been around the league. He's proved himself as serviceable.
he was
Osweiler,
late
7
40 minutes.
games.
He was late 40 minutes to the press conference because he was laughing to the bank.
No doubt. Well, or he was busy pushing chicks for trying to steal his pizza again.
We're not TMZ.
That's why I have no idea why he was late.
All right. Who left your team that you're sad to see go, or who are you really happy to see arrive?
Probably Brandon Brooks from the leaving to the Eagles. And the player I'm excited to see is Lamar Miller.
Definitely. I still think Lamar Miller to Houston is definitely going to be a good thing. A lot of people are kind of giving him a hard time. They're like, oh, he wasn't a very good runner. He wasn't featured in Miami. Everybody
Like 12
in
carries a
Miami's front
game.
office is riding the Tannehill Express. So, that continues to be that situation. I really think Lamar Miller is going to show everybody the true potential of what his talent level is. As far as Green Bay, we haven't had anybody leave really. I guess, like I said, I'm going to be sad when James Jones eventually signs somewhere else. There's going to be somebody in the league somewhere who needs a serviceable wide receiver that's going to give him a contract.
Who do you think will pick him up?
Honestly, I'm not even sure. I'm trying to rack my brain of who needs a possession receiver. If they get Kaepernick, I could see Seattle taking him. I could see Cleveland signing a contract for him if they pick up Kaepernick to give him a reliable target to throw to. But it'll be sad to see him leave. Like I said, I like him just personally in the community in the Green Bay area. And then who are we excited to see stay? I'm a big fan of. Like I said,
Jay, if you don't mind if I cut you off for just a moment. I got the big cheese in here. Nick Santerre in the house. What you got for us, Nick?
I'm trying to get this thing to work here. Hold on.
All right, we'll give you a minute. Go ahead and finish up, Jay. We'll come back to you.
Okay. I guess me personally, the one I'm excited to see, I like to see Mason Crosby stay. He had one bad season 2 years ago. Everybody was calling for him to leave. I've always been a believer in a solid kicker. They really are. If you can get a consistently good kicker, especially in the 40 to 50 yard range, it can definitely be a deciding factor, especially now with the extra points being moved out. And usually Mason Crosby is one of your more consistent kickers. Again, this is exactly how boring Green Bay's free agency is, that my most exciting staying players are kickers.
I'm surprised nobody has picked up Raji yet.
Well, Raji, I believe he's going to sign with us again.
It probably will.
He was hurt. he didn't perform before he got hurt. He held out for a big contract, then he tore his bicep. He didn't really wow anybody. He came back from the injury really well last year. They moved him back where he belongs. He's a solid player. I think he's going to test the market, try to get that big paycheck, seeing all these linemen get paid. I don't know if anybody's going to take a chance on him getting hurt again. I still think at week 1 you're still going to see him in green and gold though.
Nick, are you back with us, or you still need a minute?
I'm here.
All right, well, what do you got for us? Giants making moves, spending money. What do you got?
I'm excited, guys. I'm real excited for the Giants. The moves they made on the defensive line, which was our biggest weakness. We were dead last all throughout the season last year in defense, and we unloaded the Brinks truck, backed that bad boy up, and unloaded the dollars. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be huge going into next year because our offense was already legit. So we're looking good, man. I think we're going to be able to get back in first place with the defense all secured up.
Division.
Division's
Division is
weak.
terrible.
Oh, it sucks.
It's okay. You're spending a lot of money to win the NFC least.
But I know you got to be excited. They're addressing the one part of the team that they've neglected for years, and hopefully they can finally get to some of these fragile quarterbacks in the NFC East.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry if you hear a bunch of noises. I'm trying to get set up in here. I snuck away from the old bed, from the old wifey for a minute, do a little cameo appearance.
Love it. Priorities.
I see Keith in the comments section just dying to get some MMA takeover going on in this chat. Before we get to that, Gibbs, you have any hockey news you want to throw out there for us?
Absolutely, man. It's going to be the best time of the year. NFL playoff hockey is just around the corner, and it is heating up. West, East. The West is pretty much spoken for. Your star teams are standing out. You got Dallas, St. Louis, Chicago. Coming out of the Central, I mean, they have 90 points, 89 points, 88 points, respectively. Those guys aren't going anywhere. They're solid. Then you got the Kings, Anaheim, the Ducks out of Anaheim, and then the San Jose Sharks. That's taking up the Pacific. They got 84, 83, and 80 points there. Really, in the West, it's pretty much, is it going to be Dallas or Chicago? I personally think Dallas is going to be representing the West. St. Louis is right there with 89 points. I need to see more out of them in the postseason before I'm willing to throw them up into the cup when you got perennial stars like Dallas. Dallas is actually pretty they made some good moves at the beginning of this year to get in the position they're in now. Chicago's always there. The Kings are always there. Anaheim's always there. Should be good coming out of the West. Wild card teams for the West are going to be Nashville and Colorado. You can never count out the Predators once they're in. Shea Weber, great leader. The really big stories right now, I'm biased because it's my team over there, is the East. You got Washington, the Capitals, obviously, just storming away with the entire NHL, 103 points. They're 49, 13, and 5. They're the best team on paper. They're the best team on the ice. When they're out there, if they lose, it's generally not their fault. Holtby is... Yeah, the Capitals, yeah. It pains me to say it, but you got to respect the greatness where it's at right now. Going into the postseason, they're the team to beat. Nick, you'll be happy to know that the other two top teams in the Metro are your New York Rangers and the New York Islanders, both sitting with 84 and 82 points. Islanders, they'll come out and surprise you. They're a scrappy team. The Rangers, always a blue chip. East, perennial show up. Out in the Atlantic, you got Boston, Florida, the Panthers, and Tampa Bay Lightning sitting 84, 83, 83 points. The East is really tight. There's a lot of middle ground to be made up. Boston, again, turning it on at the right time. Florida has Jaromir Jagr, who personally I would love to see do well to a point. He's about 80 years old, still skating. And Tampa Bay Lightning, again, one of the newer up-and-coming teams, always showing up in the playoffs. And the really interesting story right now is the wild card. You got Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Pittsburgh right now actually picked up a win tonight. They beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 3-2. Philly picks up a win today, 3-1 over the Lightning. Right now, Pittsburgh sitting with 78 points, Detroit with 77, and Philly with 75. And Detroit does not have an easy week coming up. They got the New York Rangers on Saturday in Madison Square Garden. Then Sunday they got Toronto, which is a nice break. But playing a hard team like that, and then Tuesday you have Detroit and Philly playing in Philly. You'll be seeing yours truly and Peck, as well as another ambassador, David Bauer there. One of these, either that one or that one over there with Mr. Peck, one of those is going to be gone after Tuesday is all said and done. And that 2-point lead right now that Detroit has over Philly, that can really come into play with this heads-up matchup on Tuesday. Philly wins outright, depending on how Saturday, Sunday's games go and Monday's games for Philly. I mean, the wild card race in the East is probably one of the most exciting to watch right now. A lot of competition. Detroit having a down year, first year under a rookie coach. We brought him up from our Grand Rapids affiliate. We've made the playoffs 24 years in a row, looking for 25. Currently the longest active streak. But, like a lot of people say, I'm one of them. It's nice to lean back on history, but 24 straight doesn't automatically give us a berth for this year. We have to really find our identity as a team. Pittsburgh really coming into their own. Picking up Kessel this year was really good. You got Sidney Crosby, which his toughness aside, he's still one of the best skaters in the NHL. And Philly, again, scrappy. They'll come up and they'll show up against anybody. So I think going into this last stretch here, Pittsburgh and Detroit are both 67 games in. So we got 15 more to go, 15 games, and it's going to be a pretty good race going into the postseason here.
Absolutely, Jay. I want to head back to the NFL real quick. There's still some pretty big name free agents out there. Guys like RG3 is out there. Zach Brown, linebacker from Tennessee, can fit in somewhere. Nolan Carroll, ask Zach Katine. We're pretty high on that guy. He's a snap eater. He's not going to get beat too bad in coverage, and he'd be a good addition for a lot of teams. You have Pot Roast Knighton out there still, Anquan Bolden, Greg Hardy, if anybody wants a head case. Alden Smith, speaking of head cases, got Walter Thurman, Arian Foster, and his injured knees. Fitzpatrick's out there, Russell Okung, and the biggest name I'm surprised hasn't ended up anywhere yet is Eric Weddle. Where do you guys see Weddle fitting in?
Go ahead.
I'll actually, Nick, do you want to chime in first?
Eric Weddle, huh? He's a talented guy. And, this may seem like a homer pick, but when, come on, when the Giants have a guy named Brandon Merriweather and a guy named Cooper Taylor holding down the safety position, I think he would be a great fit for the Giants. I don't know if they have much cap room left for the caliber of player that he is, but I would say the Giants, I could see him also going to a team like the Patriots. I think he's tired of being on a team that's underperformed and have been a bottom of the barrel type of team. So I think he wants to get in the right situation. If I was his agent, I'd be waiting out a couple more days and going looking for a team like the Pats or the Giants. What do you guys think?
I personally, and I know our newest ambassador Jeff is going to love it. I think that Buffalo would be a great spot for him to land.
Same.
Again, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I know I was talking to Justin Armani about it. The Bills lack a on-field leader. Every team has one, or every good team, every contender has a field general, whether it's offense, defense. If the really good teams have both. The Bills wanted it to be Mario Williams. He clashed with the head coach too much, took plays off, like I think Justin said earlier. He was the worst pass rusher in the league. Definitely not the guy you're going to rally around. Eric Weddle's a proven leader. He's a veteran in this league. He knows what he's doing. He also has the D-backs coach, Mr. Ed Reed, one of my favorite cornerbacks of all time. One of my favorite safeties of all time. But I really think learning more under him and then having something these young guys can get around as far as leadership and what to expect out of a team is, I think that'd be somewhere good for him to land. Or, anywhere that has lacking field leadership is going to be a good place for someone like Weddle to land.
Definitely. Keith Roberts made a point. No way he's coming to the Patriots. They spent way too much money on McCourty last year.
They paid Butler, too?
I'm not sure if that was a paid year for him or not. Not sure if he's got another year or not.
Have you heard anything about them going to the Cowboys?
Who coming to the Cowboys? You broke up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was saying, have you heard anything on the rumor that Weddle's going to the Cowboys? Potentially.
Cowboys haven't done anything this free agency,
That's-
right?
I could end up seeing that being something. Cowboys are always they're right up there with the Giants. They have the money. They usually have the money to spend, and they're usually willing to take a shot on a player to get results that year and to win.
Yeah, I'm sure
Last
Jared
I've
Goff
heard
will fork out the cash to get Weddle and that veteran leadership for that young defense.
Last I've heard was actually Pittsburgh for Weddle. I think it'd be a good fit in there.
Yeah.
And that's again another team that doesn't really have a voice on defense now that Palomalu left.
You got James Harrison.
Yeah.
I forget. He retires. He plays for division rivals, and then he shows back up. So
you know what? I gotta say, my man Jeff. I don't know if I'm saying his last name correct.
I think it's Garassi.
Garassi reminds me. I'm not gonna go political here, but he reminds me of Marco Rubio. The way that he just keeps pushing that
whether you want to hear about it or not, you're getting it.
You're getting that Buffalo Bills shoved down your throat and acting like they're the best team.
You gotta give the people what they want. He said.
I'll call him little Jeffy from now on.
Little Jeffy.
Little Jeffy.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry, I took us off topic there, but I had to say that.
Oh no, that's good. I like
that
it.
one.
I know it's showing up pretty strongly in the comment section. Like, what the
Bills Eagles Super
You
Bowl.
guys have a lot to say about the Bills. Yeah, that's Jeff, 100%.
I'm glad that Jeff agrees with the Weddle to the Bills. Though I could pretty much say any big name free agent. Watch this, Jeff. What do you think about B.J. Raji going to the Bills?
Love it. Absolutely.
Love it. James Jones to the Bills.
I do want to touch on some MMA for Keith.
Yeah,
a lot
sure.
happened this weekend.
Yeah.
The Golden Boy, Conor McGregor, went down to Nate Diaz, and not many people saw it coming. Keith did. He called it. I put it in my DraftKings lineup as just kind of a whim, and it paid off for me. Misha Tate took out Holly Holm. A lot of people weren't expecting it, but if you read Keith's posts and Zach's posts about MMA here in Sports Talk, see, a lot of guys had a feeling that might happen. They knew
Absolutely.
it wasn't going to be a fighter who was just going to come at her with reckless abandon the way Rousey did. Refused to wrestle her, which is idiotic.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't agree more. That's I'm a novice to the UFC. I'd like to give a shout out to Keith Robert actually. All the great work he's done in sports talk actually made me a bigger fan, learning more about fighters and how to follow better. And based on what he has been saying and just the discussion that has been garnered in the group, what Tate did, yeah, she came out and game planned for facing someone like Holly Holm. Um, Rousey came out and was like, "I'm the best. I can beat you in your own style," and got
Cocky.
her ass kicked.
I really started disliking Ronda when she didn't touch gloves. That just really, for some reason, got under my gloves. I watched Diaz and McGregor
Under
not
your
touch
gloves.
gloves. I didn't care, but there was something about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was I forgot who I was watching. It was a fight from this past weekend with the McGregor fight. It was an undercard. I want to say it was. Oh man, now I'm gonna embarrass myself because it was an amazing uh, just knockout. Dude blocked the front kick and just drilled him, knocked him right out, just right to the face.
That was one of the early cards. He
It
caught
was.
the right foot and went straight in.
Yep. And I like that because the dude kind of went for a sucker punch earlier in the round, early in round one. He reached his glove out like he wanted to like touch it, like touch gloves already as the match had begun, and other dude let his guard down to like come in and dude just like sucker punched him in the jaw. So like then into the second round, yeah, he blocked that front kick and just dropped him like a bad habit, which is just great. Keith, if maybe you can give me an update on that name, I feel like you'll just know it. Silva, yes. Yes. Yeah, when Taleb just knocked Silva, yeah, it was great because yeah, Silva came out and it was like he like put his glove out and you saw him kind of like tap it out, like it wasn't like aggressive, it was just like out, like all right, let's do this, let's have a fight, let's stop dancing, and like dude like dropped his guard and then like he just dropped the act and came and hit him, and what is this? The Raiders are working on Weddle, but sorry, but yeah,
Huh?
then just to
Wow.
see Talib come out the next round and just drop him like it's pretty much karma right there.
Oh, the Raiders, if they can add him and Sean Smith,
Right?
not only
That's
not only do
scary.
you replace Charles Woodson, but you got another strong piece there.
Let me put it
Yeah.
this way: if the Raiders land Weddle, not only will they win the AFC West, they will win their first playoff game,
Ooh,
They could be in a
prediction.
divisional
and they're
easy.
gonna and they're gonna
Predictions
host and they're gonna
very
host
much.
that game.
Yeah, they'll win that division by like 5 games because there's no way Denver's winning 7 games this year with Mark Sanchez as quarterback.
Sanchez, baby.
Good lord.
I don't know. I mean, the defense lost some pieces, but did they lose that many pieces that they're not going to be able to keep them
I
in the
mean,
game? I mean,
you still
you
have
saw how
DeMarcus Ware
Peyton
and Von
played.
Miller, and you still have Aqib Talib and Chris Harris
They lost
Mm.
and
Trevathan.
T.J.
That's a
Ward.
huge loss.
Would they lose?
Trevathan.
He was their lead tackler, but I want to see how he does without Miller and Ware. He's going to a Bears defense that is lackluster at best. I still think he's going to be good for the record. Just
Oh yeah.
Bears are
He's
still taking third in the NFC North.
one of the unheralded signings. Saw a meme on the page earlier, Sports Talk Original. You know your team's bad if Colin Kaepernick wants to go to Cleveland. I don't know if it was Frank or Nick that posted that, but you couldn't be more right. And another point I wanted to fit into the show that I kind of forgot about. It got put on the back burner. Miko Grimes deletes her Twitter, and Brent Grimes is signed immediately after.
I would like to find out, and we'll never know unless somebody leaks it. I guarantee. Who did he sign with? The Bucks?
Bucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guarantee Tampa Bay's front office goes, you shut your wife up, contract is right here.
Yeah. As soon as he signed the contract, she like deactivated her Twitter.
Yeah, I
But
bet
you're
you that it's somewhere in his contract that his wife will not have a Twitter for the duration of his career in Tampa.
Lock her down. You know, the
Very
Bucks also picked up Robert Ayers Jr. today as well.
nice.
How
Okay,
much?
coming over from New York. What kind of player was he there?
I think he had 9 sacks last year. He's a good player, and he gets in the backfield and pressures the quarterback. I think the Bucks, them getting Doug Martin back and Jameis Winston being in his second year, and he's showing some good leadership. I think the Bucks might be somewhat of a surprise team next year.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are
They'll be
going to
in
turn
second
heads.
behind the Panthers next year too.
Yeah, the Panthers. Talk about a team not really doing much.
According to Aaron.
Schwartz is all about it. He loves sitting back and watching it. Worked for him last year. I thought receiver was going to be a huge problem for him. But there they were, 15-1 with Ted Ginn, the great Ted Ginn Jr.
That's
leading
because they
us.
didn't have to utilize him. I mean, we got Greg Olson,
Yeah.
and
Oh, they got
you
one
got
player. You don't need anyone else.
well, I mean, Cam Newton's running in. You got Foster, not Foster,
Tolbert.
Tolbert,
Stewart.
Stewart, Jonathan Stewart catches out of the backfield a lot. I think getting Kelvin Benjamin back is going to be huge, and then
Absolutely.
Devin Funchess' next year in the league is going to be a good one with Benjamin opposite him.
You think they'll take receiver in the draft?
No, no, I mean, they got Benjamin, they got Funchess, they got Olson, they have Stewart, they have Cam Newton. I think they maybe focus on safety play.
Who's their safety right now? Roman Harper, right?
I believe he is gone.
He's old.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he went to go live on a farm up north.
All right. One last thing, guys. Get this wrapped up. One last thing I want to
Yeah.
talk to you guys about. With the draft coming up, what need do you guys need to fill? Who do you have your eyes on?
Unless we get Weddle, I would think strong safety. We're very weak on that position.
With Green Bay, inside linebacker or tackles. I don't have a name yet. I'm still looking at my draft research. Um, but we could use. I mean, David Bakhtiari isn't terrible. Um, Don Barclay is terrible. Um, and Josh Sitton and T.J. Lang aren't going to be around forever. So I think maybe getting the key is whoever they take in the first round needs to be a week one starter that can help us out wherever they put him. We don't. I'm all about developing guys in the draft. Save that for the third to fifth round guys that you can maybe get a gem in there, but develop them. Week one starter needs to come out of round one. I would like to see a good coverage inside linebacker, somebody that can give Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers help. Right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think the
And
Packers are very good at what's it called? Developing players. Am I right,
Yeah,
Jay?
yeah. I mean that's what we do.
Like we
absolutely
said
great,
earlier in the
great
show,
coaching structure
Packers
there.
don't are very quiet in free agency.
All right. And Nick, where do you have your eyes set on for the draft?
Whoa.
Well, with the Giants going through free agency and addressing the defensive line with defensive end, we needed that. We addressed that. Defensive tackle, we addressed that. I would like to add some depth there with another strong defensive end or a linebacker. We signed Robinson from the Redskins, who's been a nice pickup. He led the Redskins in tackles 2 years ago, which is we definitely had a need at linebacker. He's going to be a help there. Would like to add some depth. Uh, Safety is my number one position. I think the Giants need to address unless somehow they get Weddle, Cooper Taylor, or one of the other guys who's hurt every other game, just not cutting it. And if they can address free safety and have Landon Collins be able to focus on his specialty and run stopping, I think their defense is going to look pretty sharp. So some depth at some key positions over there, and then wouldn't mind them adding another playmaker at receiver because we don't know what to expect with Victor Cruz hobbling around. Probably he's going to go out there in crutches, or who knows what he's going to be able to do.
I heard he
And
just signed a pretty major endorsement deal, though. I think his knee just got a contract from Kleenex.
with who? Did he get an endorsement from some kind of orthopedic joint? But lastly, I would like them to address running back too. I think Rashad Jennings is on the over the hill, and I like Shane Vereen, but has a change of pace back. So if they could somehow get Elliott, I would like them to get a run game going.
Yeah, that's who I wanted before
Glad he's
Lamar
leaving
Miller.
for it.
Elliott.
And the big needs in Miami, the ones that they are every year that we just refuse
Need
to
a whole
address.
team.
The elephant in the room.
Guard and cornerback. Best player available when we pick at 13. If it's a guard, take him. If it's a corner, take him. You get tired of watching Tom Brady throw all over you every single year.
No,
You're never going to
It's
stop him, but you have to put up an effort to slow him down. Come on. Now, as far as the Eagles are concerned, where do they need to look in the draft? You gotta look cornerback, I think, for the Eagles, or shore up the offensive line, one or the other.
That better keep.
Yeah, they need to protect Sam Bradford.
You gotta extra protect Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
Gotta put a freaking juggernaut suit on him.
All right, well, that's it for the first run through of this. Kind of wung it a little bit, but I think we did good. We'll come back next week. Hopefully, have some more people on here and get some more big stories out there and talk about them.
Woo. Loving it.
Nice job, gentlemen.
Thanks for everybody putting some comments in, giving us some great direction too.
We'll get Keith in here
definitely
next
love the
week.
involvement.
Talking about MMA, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be a great addition. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sports Talk signing out. You guys have a great night.
See ya.
Good night, fellas.